welcome to ABC 31 News Tonight. I'm Scott Beadle. Tonight's big story, Governor John Bel Edwards' major tax bill doesn't even make it out of the starting gate. The governor says he is not giving up after the loss of his commercial activity bill. Rather, he says this is just one bill among many to raise revenue. He also says the loss of the bill gives him direction on how to steer the other bills in his tax package. Governor Edwards indicated he listened to discussion of the bill and is convinced the lawmakers want to accept proposals made by a tax reform committee that has made recommendations for restructuring Louisiana's tax code. However, Edwards did warn the legislature must act before the state is up against a cliff. All the bills must start in the Ways and Means Committee. Former Louisiana Governor Edwin Edwards spoke to a business administration class yesterday evening at Northwestern State University. He was asked if there was ever a time during his terms as governor when he changed his mind against his own personal views.
When I was governor, there was an execution schedule. Hardest time of my life was the 12 hours before and after the execution, because by using a pen and a piece of paper, I could save that person's life. But in spite of my personal view, I knew that the vast majority of people in Louisiana supported it, and I allowed it to happen.
Edwin Edwards has been the state's only four-term governor. During the class session, he also spoke about current events and his own career in politics. A Sabine Parish man is sentenced to 19 years in federal prison for meth and gun charges. He's 34-year-old Heath Michelle of Zwally. Law enforcement searched his home about a year ago and found a large quantity of meth, other drugs, scales, and more than $1,500. A couple already arrested for theft is now also charged with trespassing on Bowie Bend Road in the Coteal community. Rapids deputies say 48-year-old Richard McCormick and 50-year-old Patricia Pickering were spotted last week on game cameras on private property. Pickering is also awaiting extradition to Mississippi for a parole violation. Residents gathered in downtown Alexandria yesterday evening at the Holocaust Memorial for the annual Holocaust commemoration. The commemoration began with a few words, music, and a moment of silence before a walk to Emmanuel Baptist Church for the remainder of the ceremony. That memorial event is held each year on April 24th. Calm conditions tonight, but tomorrow might be a different story. Meteorologist Ross Whitley is here with your weather now.
That's right, Scott. We could be looking at even some severe thunderstorms. Of course, we'll talk about that coming up. Right now, we're looking at our temperatures out there, 85 degrees in Alexandria for today. We had 83 in Baton Rouge, 81 in Lafayette, and 79 in Lake Charles. Most of us sitting right there comfortably in the lower 80s, and a couple places touching the middle to upper 80s. And if you look at the radar, yeah, I'm zoomed way out because that's how far you got to go before you get into any kind of action around the area. You will notice off to our north and west storm system that will be moving in over the next couple of days, and that's going to bring a change in our weather. Of course, I'll have the details on that coming up just a little bit. Scott?
All right, thank you, Ross. An execution spree in Arkansas. That state battling all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court and carrying out 3 death row sentences in a matter of days. 2 of the executions came just hours apart yesterday. ABC's Emily Rao has the story.
2 death row inmates getting lethal injections the very same night, even on the same gurney.
I'm glad it's done. I'm glad that that part of my life is, that chapter is closed.
The family of one of the murder victims speaking after the execution of Jack Jones, who raped and killed Mary Phillips in 1995.
We honored her memory here today by carrying out justice.
Both inmates were in poor health. Jones, diabetic, Marcel Williams, morbidly obese. Their legal teams earlier argued those factors could make the lethal injection drugs ineffective. And after witnesses reported Jones appearing to gasp for air in his final moments, Williams' attorneys convinced a federal judge to briefly delay the process. But not long after, that judge lifting the stay of execution and Williams taking his last breath around 10:30 Monday night.
By 10:23, the breathing had slowed, and by 10:24, it had stopped.
One drug manufacturer, McKesson, even sued to prevent its use last week. Arkansas is under pressure to have the executions carried out before the drug expires April 30th.
I hope the state of Arkansas and the government and the court system learns from this, get it done right, and people don't have to live like this or think about this for 20-something years.
The executions mark the end of a 12-year hiatus in this state. The next scheduled execution in Arkansas is this Thursday. Emily Rao, ABC News, New York.
A new facility in central Louisiana, the Family Justice Center, is working to help survivors of family violence by placing a number of resources under one roof.
It helps out the victim in that they don't have to keep going from location to location and re-victimizing, having to tell their story over and over again. But it also helps the agencies out because one hand knows what the other hand is doing when they're all in the same building. They're working together to assist the survivor and get the best possible outcome.
The Family Justice Center is located on Hospital Boulevard in Pineville. Dr. King Alexander, president of LSU, spoke to the Rotary Club today about the economic impact of the LSU school system around the state.
The economic impact of us having thousands of students either from this region in school in this region, also all our pre-college students in the 4-H programs throughout this area. We have a lot of impact right here, and we have a lot of supporters here, but it's all about the future of our communities. It's about keeping our young people. I think that economic development grows with ideas, and people who have ideas that we help our young people get off the ground as graduates, whether they're in the medical profession, whether they're in the business profession and entrepreneurship, or even teaching in our schools. That's the generation we need to make sure they're building our communities in the future.
LSU Alexandria is the fastest growing school in the LSU system and one of the fastest growing 4U universities in the state. The first step of a successful soybean crop is getting them planted during the optimum time. Favorable weather conditions have helped Louisiana farmers to do just that. LSU Ag Center correspondent Craig Gautreaux has the story.
The mild winter and warm spring have helped Louisiana soybean farmers get an early start on their crop. Farmers are ahead of schedule on their planting, and LSU Ag Center soybean specialist Ronnie Levy credits ideal planting conditions.
We've had adequate rainfall, the temperatures have been great, and a lot of producers took advantage of those warm temperatures and did plant early.
Levy says that getting soybeans in the ground at the right time is a crucial step in maximizing yield potential.
We'd like to see most of the soybeans planted right at this time of year because of day length, amount of available moisture. There's just a lot of advantages to planting, in this mid-April time frame.
Yields can be reduced by diseases and hot nighttime temperatures that stress the plants while the beans are beginning to mature. Another issue late in the season is insects.
If we can get our soybeans in before we get too many generations of our stink bug problems, then that can go a long way in reducing the amount of money producers have to spend on controlling insects.
Soybean acreage is expected to increase slightly in Louisiana while increasing significantly nationally. This is negatively affecting prices farmers receive.
We've seen a big increase in soybean acres in the U.S., and that's kind of had a little bit of a downtick in the price of soybeans.
Levy expects to see more beans in the southern part of the state than last year because of ideal planting conditions. With the LSU Ag Center, this is Craig Gautreaux reporting.
Experts are predicting around 1.5 million acres of soybeans will be planted this year, which would make it Louisiana's largest crop in terms of acreage. A new controversy for the White House as the Trump administration moves closer to its 100th day in office. Plus, new details on United Airlines' viral video fiasco as the passenger considers legal action against the company. It's all next on ABC 31 News.
So if it wasn't you, who killed Michael Jackson?
This May on The Dr. Oz Show.
I just know there was a doctor in the house treating him, and he ends up dead.
Gone too soon. What really happened to your favorite stars? Oz investigates. Fast food packaging alert.
Do these chemicals leach into your food and into your body?
Plus, Monday Dieter. Plans and detoxes to get you back on track by summer. All May on Oz.
Watch Dr. Oz weekdays at 11 on KLAX TV. A new scandal is plaguing the Trump administration just days before the president's 100th day in office. Leaders of the House Oversight Committee say the former National Security Advisor may have been illegally paid by foreign governments, including Russia. And the White House is refusing to hand over documents related to Michael Flynn and the payments. ABC Janae Norman has the details.
96 days in office, and President Trump is still dealing with a controversy that started on day one, alleged ties between his administration and Russia. The latest chapter centers on former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn failing to disclose payments from foreign governments.
As a former military officer, you simply cannot take money from Russia, Turkey, or anybody else. And it appears as if he did take that money. It was inappropriate.
Bipartisan leaders of the House Oversight Committee say it appears Flynn broke the law. And so far, the White House isn't playing ball and is refusing to hand over information.
We don't have the documents prior to assuming the White House.
We received no internal documents relating to what General Flynn reported to the White House when they vetted him to become National Security Advisor. And we received no documents relating to his termination as National Security Advisor.
As time winds down for Congress to pass a $1 trillion spending bill to prevent a government shutdown, Democrats are rejoicing over a perceived victory on the president's proposed border wall.
The president is easing off his demands for a border wall in the government funding bill.
I don't know what people are talking. I watch these shows and the pundits in the morning. They don't know what they're talking about. The wall gets built, 100%.
As we wait for the president to unveil his new tax cut plan and new push for health care reform, a new ABC News Washington Pulse poll finds just 37% of Americans say Obamacare should be repealed and replaced. 61% say it should be kept and fixed instead. Janae Norman, ABC News, Washington.
2 viral videos in 2 weeks. 2 airlines facing major backlash over the apparent mistreatment of passengers on board. Now we're learning more about the moments leading up to those incidents as the passengers consider legal action against the airlines. ABC's Emily Rao has the new details.
The video that started a firestorm. Dr. David Dow dragged off a United flight in Chicago, but new video and audio telling more of the story.
The airline overbooked the flight, and they need 2 passengers to get off, and they're refusing.
Calls for police to assist employees, and a surveillance camera capturing Dr. Dow and his wife boarding the plane, then his wife running off and then back on again.
Oh my God!
And after the scuffle, what appears to be a bloodied officer exiting the jetway. Dow's attorney says they are getting ready for legal action.
It escalated in his case to physical harm unnecessarily when he was lawfully where he was entitled to be.
And this woman hiring that same attorney after an ugly encounter on an American Airlines flight.
You can't use violence with baby. Just give me back my stroller, please.
Passengers saying a flight attendant forcefully removed her double-wide stroller, knocking the mother in the head and nearly hitting one of her babies. But now, a passenger with a different perspective.
She wasn't letting go of the stroller, and she was stressed, but she grabbed the stroller and maybe a little bit of the flight attendant's shirt.
American Airlines immediately removed that crew member, apologized, and lined up special treatment for the rest of her trip.
They understood, maybe from the United mishap, they said the right thing.
The female passenger is now back in Argentina. That flight attendant remains on paid leave. Emily Rao, ABC News, New York.
Little rain sounds like it's on the way for us.
Yeah, a couple showers and thunderstorms as we get into tomorrow afternoon, especially into the evening and overnight hours. Of course, we'll be talking all about it and even the risks for severe weather. Not 1, but 2 rounds. Weather's next.
Here comes Mother's Day, and we want you to win a $200 gift card to Natchitoches Pecans. Just visit us online, on Facebook or Twitter. Click, register, and get ready to win. Enter daily through May 9th. It's time to win from Natchitoches Pecans and KLAX ABC 31.
Well, for central Louisiana, this time of year at the end of April, you can't complain about having 2 back-to-back, basically cloud-free days and sunshine. Unfortunately, the weather's not going to change. It is the end of April, and this is the active time of year when we should be seeing showers and thunderstorms throughout the area. And unfortunately, that's what we're headed at. We're going to have breezy periods, clouds and sun tomorrow, and then as we get into the afternoon, into the late evening, we'll have the best chance of showers and thunderstorms. And unfortunately, with those showers and thunderstorms, because of the setup that we have, we could be looking at severe weather as well, not just for tomorrow, but also as we head into the weekend on Saturday and Sunday, both we could be looking at maybe potential to see some severe weather. Now, just looking at the surface map for tomorrow, and you notice the humidity on the increase today, we'll see that even more evident tomorrow as an area of low pressure starts to work just a little bit closer into our area, and we'll have the winds cranking out of the south, probably 10, 15 miles per hour, even gusts up to 20, 25 miles per hour at times tomorrow. So it will be much more humid, and just off to our north and west, we'll have severe weather, and that will be moving into the area as we get into the overnight hours. So I don't think anybody's going to escape the chance of seeing a severe thunderstorm or two. The best chance of these storms, especially on Wednesday, are going to be high winds and heavy rain as we go throughout the day on Wednesday. Putting a little more of a timeline on it, starting in western Arkansas, moving into northern Louisiana as we head into Wednesday night. So for here, we should be looking at maybe a 2-3 a.m. timeline to see those thunderstorms. Unfortunately for us, as we are in the late night hours, we'll be looking at those thunderstorms starting to die out, but heavy winds and heavy rain going to be the main threat with these thunderstorms. Tornadoes, really not a big deal for us. We're not going to be having that threat as we go throughout the day tomorrow. Day planner, 7 a.m. temperature right around 70 degrees, kind of muggy out there. As we get into the noontime, not warming up a whole lot, only around 80 degrees, but it is definitely going to be humid. And by 5 o'clock, we'll start to see some scattered, I'd say widely scattered storms around the area through the 5 o'clock hour. Temperatures out there currently 78 degrees and cloudy, and you notice the dew points climbing. Well, yesterday we were in the 40s, today we're in the 60s for the dew points. And temperatures elsewhere all looking at the 70s, upper 70s in most places. Monroe at the only spot at 81. Overnight tonight, 69 degrees, clear to partly cloudy conditions. And for tomorrow, those thunderstorms, 83 degrees, about a 60% chance of seeing a storm by the time we get throughout the day tomorrow. And looking at the extended forecast, we're going to continue to see those showers and storms in the forecast, not for Thursday, but Friday we'll sneak them back in, and then Saturday and Sunday, once again, we'll be looking at severe storms. Of course, we'll keep you updated on that right here. And that's a look at your weather. Scott?
All right, thank you, Ross. Worried about how your weight might be affecting your health? New research suggests it's less about the number on the scale and more about your belt size. With more, here's Dr. Timothy Johnson.
An expanding waistline. It's something to which many of us can relate. Now a new study suggests that it may be even more important than your overall weight when it comes to a long life. Researchers in the UK and Australia studied people who fit into 3 traditional weight categories: normal weight, overweight, and obese. What they found is that the normal weight and overweight people who had bigger waistlines had a higher risk of dying early than their peers of a similar weight who were not as wide around the middle. However, the obese patients, those in the heaviest category, showed the opposite effect, with obese patients without large waistlines having a higher risk of dying early than obese patients with large waistlines. Overall, the findings suggest that doctors may do well to look at a patient's waist size along with their weight at that routine checkup, versus the usual practice of focusing primarily on the number on the scale. And for the rest of us, a warning that our tightening belts may be trying to tell us something. With this Medical Minute, I'm Dr. Timothy Johnson.
Coming up, NSU's baseball coach talks about the resolve of his team despite the lack of wins. Plus, one of NASCAR's most popular drivers is calling it quits. Details next.
Inside LSU Baseball, brought to you by Randy Wiggins, State Farm Agent, and Take 5 Oil Change. Join us Sundays at 10 on KLAX TV.
The struggle has been real for most of the season for the NSU baseball team. They've been in a large amount of their games, but just haven't been able to get over the hump on learning how to win those close games. Case in point, Sunday's 9th inning 3-run collapse against McNeese. But all that aside, Coach Barbier has been pretty impressed with this team.
I'm so proud of our guys for competing the way they did. You know, it's no secret it hadn't gone well for us this year, for whatever reason. Some poor play, some bad luck, some injuries, whatever the reasons are. regardless, but they keep competing, which is what I love about them.
The NSU tennis team will head into the Southland Conference tournament this Friday as the number 6 seed. At 10 a.m. on Friday, the Lady Demons will face 3rd-seeded Central Arkansas in the opening match of the single elimination tournament. The Lady Demons fell to UCA in the regular season finale on April 14th. But they tend to save their best for tournament time. The only time NSU has not reached the championship match in this decade was in 2012. Wow, when they lost in the first round. Holding an undefeated record through the Spring 15s season, the LSUA rugby team will now head to Colorado for the national championships this weekend. The Generals captured multiple titles this year, including the Conference Championship and the South Cup. LSUA will play their semifinal match on Saturday against Tufts University, with the title game scheduled for Sunday. NASCAR fan favorite Dale Earnhardt Jr. made a surprising announcement this morning that he will be retiring from driving at the end of the 2017 season. It's a pretty abrupt decision by Jr., who's only 8 races into this year, but maybe not totally surprising given all the concussion problems he suffered over the last year. Jr. was forced to sit out most of last season with concussion-like symptoms, and it's left him suffering from nauseousness, double vision, anxiety, and a multitude of other symptoms. He's driven in more than 600 races over an 18-year career and has won 26 times, including a pair of Daytona 500 wins. Earnhardt may be getting out of the driver's seat, but it's surely not the last time we'll see him at the track.
I am eager to explore new opportunities. I don't see myself really detaching from NASCAR. My intention is still to be involved in the sport on some level. In fact, I still have 2 Xfinity races to run for Junior Motorsports in 2018, so even after this season is over, you've not seen the last of me on the racetrack. But more than that, I want to be a part of the future of this sport for many, many years to come.
And here's something you don't hear a lot. The rules of golf are being changed. Try to take some of the technology out and put more of the player's integrity in. The rules addressed 2 situations where the use of video replay will be limited in identifying penalties. Now, the first is when video evidence reveals an infraction that couldn't be seen with the naked eye. And the second comes into play when it's determined that a player did all that can be expected while making an accurate estimation or measurement concerning the line or placement of a ball. Now, the changes are in response to a few instances in the LPGA, when this instance right here, when Lexi Thompson was penalized after a viewer called in and reported a small infraction. Now, the new rules will take place immediately. Now, Scott, at that point, she was penalized 4 strokes. Ouch. Because it would have been a wrong scorecard, and then she moved it just slightly, but the people didn't call it on the course. The viewer called in and said, hey, this is an infraction. So golf is saying, you know what, these are kind of silly rules, so they're going to get rid of that. Probably help the game move a little faster and take away some of the silly rules.
Yeah, and you know, if you've got viewers as replay judges at home, that opens a can of worms.
Yeah, it does.
Thanks, Nick. We'll be right back.
Explore strange new worlds on MeTV. Seek out new life.
I've seen old photographs of this period. Let's get out of here.
Hold it right there! And new civilizations. Boldly go to Mayberry and the Andy Griffith Show.
An alligator that went out for a little stroll ended up under arrest here in Louisiana. Wildlife agents rounded up the gator that was found over the weekend roaming in a neighborhood near New Orleans. A homeowner spotted the reptile in the garage and, well, they removed it and eventually even put some handcuffs on it. Yeah. Thanks for watching and have a great night.
When it comes to cleaning up the streets of Boston,
this is who I am. This is what I do. Now get me in there. He did it, and I know where the proof is.
It's ladies first. Rizzoli and Isles.
Weekends at 11 on KLAX TV.
If you want to stay on top of your health, one simple thing to do
is take the pledge to go and get screened for the cancers that might affect you.
So stand up, cancer, and take the pledge and get screened.
count on oil. It only takes a minute to take care of yourself, and nothing rhymes with oil.